In this episode, we look at threat actors, which are the people or groups behind many security events. A threat actor is not just a shadowy attacker in a movie. It can be a criminal group, a political extremist, an activist group, a hostile employee, or even someone inside an organization who makes a serious mistake without meaning to cause harm. Understanding threat actors helps you understand why attacks happen, how attackers choose targets, and what kind of damage they may try to create. You do not need to think of every attacker as the same kind of person with the same goal. Organized crime often wants money. Terrorist groups may want fear, disruption, attention, or ideological impact. Hacktivists may want publicity or pressure around a cause. Insiders may act out of anger, greed, carelessness, confusion, or poor judgment. When you understand motivation and behavior, security starts to make more sense. Before we continue, a quick note. This audio course is part of our companion study series. The first book is a detailed study guide that explains the exam and helps you prepare for it with confidence. The second is a Kindle-only ebook with 1,000 flashcards you can use on your mobile device or Kindle for quick review. You can find both at Cyber.Me in the Bare Metal Study Guide series. Organized cybercrime is one of the most common and financially damaging threat actor categories. These attackers usually operate like a business, even though the business is illegal. They may divide work among specialists who write malware, steal credentials, launder money, run phishing campaigns, negotiate extortion payments, or sell stolen data. Their main goal is usually financial gain. That can mean stealing payment information, committing fraud, deploying ransomware, selling access to other criminals, or extorting organizations after stealing sensitive data. Organized crime groups often choose targets based on opportunity and profit. They may not care who you are personally. They care whether your systems are exposed, your users can be tricked, your backups are weak, or your data has value. This is why even small organizations can be targeted. Criminal groups do not always need a famous victim. They need a victim who can be reached and pressured. The behavior of organized crime is often practical and repeatable. A criminal group may send phishing messages to many organizations, hoping that a small number of people click. They may scan the internet for exposed systems, buy stolen passwords, or rent access from another criminal who already broke in. Once they find a path that works, they may reuse it again and again until defenders catch up. Picture a small accounting firm that receives a fake invoice email. One employee opens the attachment, malware runs, and the attacker steals saved credentials. The criminal group then uses those credentials to access financial systems or deploy ransomware after business hours. The group was not making a political statement. It was looking for money. That practical motive affects how you defend against it. Strong identity controls, backups, patching, monitoring, and user awareness all reduce the criminal's chance of turning access into profit. Terrorist threat actors are usually driven by ideology, fear, coercion, or the desire to create public attention for a cause. In cybersecurity discussions, terrorist activity may include attempts to disrupt services, spread propaganda, recruit supporters, expose sensitive information, or create fear through attacks on symbolic or critical targets. A terrorist group may not always have the same technical resources as a major nation-state, but motivation can still make the threat serious. The impact they want is often psychological and social as much as technical. They may seek disruption that gets public attention, especially if the target is connected to government, transportation, utilities, public safety, media, or a symbolic institution. For you as a security learner, the key distinction is motive. Criminal groups often ask how they can make money. Terrorist groups often ask how they can create fear, attention, or disruption that supports their ideology. A simple scenario can show how terrorist motivations differ from ordinary cybercrime. Imagine a regional transit agency with public websites, scheduling systems, and passenger communication tools. A financially motivated criminal might target the agency for ransomware because downtime could pressure leaders to pay. A terrorist-aligned actor might care less about payment and more about panic, public embarrassment, or disruption during a major event. They might deface public pages, leak internal documents, spread false service alerts, or try to interrupt communication channels. The same target can attract different actors for different reasons. That matters because the likely behavior, timing, and messaging may be different. Defenders still need strong technical controls, but they also need communication plans, incident response coordination, and awareness of how public-facing systems could be used to amplify fear. The harm may come not only from system damage, but from confusion and loss of trust. Hacktivists are threat actors who use hacking or disruptive online activity to promote a political, social, environmental, or ideological cause. The word combines hacker and activist, but hacktivist behavior can vary widely. Some hacktivists focus on publicity, such as defacing websites or leaking documents to embarrass a target. Others may try to disrupt services through distributed denial-of-service attacks, where traffic overwhelms a website or service so legitimate users cannot reach it. Some may steal and publish information to pressure an organization. Their targets are often selected because of what the organization represents, what it sells, what policy it supports, or what public controversy surrounds it. Hacktivists may not always seek long-term hidden access. They may want a visible event that attracts attention. Visibility is part of the point. They want the public, the media, employees, customers, or leaders to notice. Hacktivist scenarios often involve reputation and public pressure. Picture a company involved in a controversial project. A hacktivist group may launch a website disruption campaign on the day of a public announcement. They may post claims online, release internal emails, or alter a public page to display a message. The technical event may last only a short time, but the reputational impact can continue. People may question whether the company protects its data, whether leadership was honest, or whether the organization can be trusted. This is different from organized crime, where the attacker may prefer secrecy until it is time to demand payment. Hacktivists may want attention immediately. That does not mean hacktivists are harmless or less serious. Their actions can expose private information, disrupt operations, and create legal or safety concerns. Their cause may be political or social, but the damage can be very real. Insiders are threat actors who have some trusted relationship with the organization. An insider may be an employee, contractor, vendor, partner, temporary worker, or anyone else with legitimate access. Insiders matter because they start from a position of trust. They may already know systems, processes, coworkers, schedules, and weak spots. Not every insider threat is malicious. That is an important distinction. Some insiders intentionally cause harm. Others create risk by accident. Either way, insider activity can be difficult to detect because the person may be using normal accounts, normal devices, and normal work processes. A login from an employee account does not automatically look suspicious. A file download by someone who normally handles files may seem routine until the volume, timing, destination, or purpose looks unusual. Insider risk is one reason organizations use least privilege, monitoring, separation of duties, and careful offboarding. A malicious insider intentionally misuses access. The motive may be money, revenge, ideology, ego, pressure from someone outside the organization, or fear of losing a job. Imagine an employee who is angry about being passed over for a promotion. They still have access to customer records, internal documents, or administrative tools. Before resigning, they copy files to a personal account or delete important project data. In another case, a contractor may sell access to criminals because they need money. A malicious insider does not always need advanced technical skill. Their advantage is access and familiarity. They may know which system has valuable information, which manager is slow to review access reports, or which process can be bypassed. This is why insider defense is not only about trusting people. Trust is necessary for work, but access still needs boundaries, oversight, and accountability. Accidental insiders cause harm without intending to. This can happen when someone clicks a phishing link, sends sensitive information to the wrong recipient, misconfigures a shared folder, loses an unencrypted device, or approves a fraudulent request because it appears urgent. Accidental insider risk is common because people work under pressure, handle many messages, and use complex systems. Picture an employee who receives an email that appears to come from a known vendor. The message asks them to review an updated payment form. They enter credentials into a fake portal, and attackers use those credentials to access company email. The employee did not mean to help an attacker. The weakness came from deception, workload, and trust. Security teams should avoid treating every mistake as a moral failure. The better response is to design systems and processes that make mistakes less likely and less damaging. The difference between malicious and accidental insiders affects how an organization responds. If someone made a mistake, the response may focus on containment, coaching, process improvement, and stronger controls. If someone intentionally stole data or damaged systems, the response may involve investigation, legal action, access removal, and coordination with leadership. The evidence can look similar at first. A large file download might be accidental, legitimate, or malicious. An unusual login might be travel, compromise, or misuse. Security teams need context before jumping to conclusions. What is normal for this person's role? Did their job recently change? Were they leaving the organization? Did the activity happen at an unusual time? Was data sent to an approved location or a personal account? Insider cases require careful handling because they involve people, privacy, employment decisions, and sometimes law enforcement concerns. Threat actor categories can overlap. A disgruntled insider might sell access to organized crime. A hacktivist group might use criminal tools. A terrorist-aligned group might rely on unskilled supporters to amplify disruption. A criminal group might pretend to be hacktivists to confuse attribution. Attribution means identifying who is behind an activity, and it can be difficult. Defenders should be careful about assuming too much too quickly. What matters first is reducing harm, protecting people and systems, and understanding the likely behavior well enough to respond. You may not always know the exact actor immediately. You can still make useful decisions by looking at tactics, targets, timing, messages, and impact. If the activity involves extortion, money may be the motive. If it involves public messaging tied to a cause, hacktivism may be possible. If it involves trusted access, insider risk must be considered. Understanding threat actors helps you connect motive to defense. Organized crime pushes you to think about financial fraud, ransomware, stolen credentials, and repeatable attack paths. Terrorist actors push you to think about disruption, fear, public messaging, and critical services. Hacktivists push you to think about reputation, visibility, public-facing systems, and sensitive information that could be leaked for pressure. Malicious insiders push you to think about access boundaries, monitoring, offboarding, and separation of duties. Accidental insiders push you to think about training, safer processes, clear warnings, and controls that reduce the blast radius of mistakes. The phrase blast radius means the amount of damage that can happen when something goes wrong. If one account, one mistake, or one exposed system can affect everything, the blast radius is too large. Good security design limits how far harm can spread. As you keep studying Security Plus version 8 and SY0801, remember that threat actors are not just names to memorize. They help explain why attacks happen and what defenders should expect. Organized crime usually follows profit. Terrorist actors often seek fear, disruption, or ideological impact. Hacktivists seek attention and pressure around a cause. Malicious insiders misuse trust on purpose. Accidental insiders create risk through mistakes, confusion, or deception. These categories are not perfect boxes, and real incidents can be messy. Still, they give you a useful starting point. When you hear about a security event, ask who might benefit, what they might want, how they would likely behave, and what kind of damage they are trying to create. That habit will help you move beyond technical symptoms and start seeing the human motives behind many cybersecurity risks.
Thanks for listening. For more audio courses, daily newsletters, and more, please visit baremetalcyber.com.